Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my go-to foundation routine when I want full coverage, full face, matte all day long. The first step to me having a flawless full coverage foundation look has to be moisturizing. This is so important to me. It's like the first base of everything, just what pulls everything together. I'm a huge fan of this First Aid Beauty Ultra Repair Moisturizer. I feel like it's great, especially for sensitive skin. I get a lot of redness. It has been getting a little bit better, but it just works so well with my skin. Anything with too much fragrance is just no good for me. So I need something that's going to combat that, and also something that's not going to make me look so oily. Now, this says that it does do a good job of hydrating those dry areas that you may have on my skin. I do have some dry areas, but I am really oily. So this is a really good balance for those of you guys who have really dry areas, maybe here and there, but then mostly have oil. It doesn't make you more oily. It doesn't do any of that jazz. So I literally just live for this product. So I'm just going to take a little bit of it and I'm going to just put it everywhere on my skin. So the next step that I like to do, I kind of like to wait it out for like a minute or two, just so that this stays on and just really soaks into my skin. And then I like to go in with my primers. So these have been my holy grail primers for a long time. I like to use the Makeup Forever Step 1 Skin Equalizer in Mattifying. If you guys are really oily, you're going to love this product. It makes sure that my foundation stays on all day long, and it also makes sure that my foundation does not get as oily as it would with anything else. Now, I want to say a lot of primers claim to be mattifying, and I've tried a lot, and if you guys have seen me here on YouTube, you guys know that I have really oily skin. For most of my videos where I do worth it or not on foundations, by the end of the day, my skin is very oily. So I'm not gonna sit here and be like, this is going to keep you completely matte, but it does a good job of, you know, making sure that you're matte for longer than you would with any other primer. Now this guy by Tarte has been a really favorite of mine because it does a good job of brightening your skin for a good 12 hours. It also does a good job of kind of like filling in those areas where you have pores. And not only that, but I love the fact that it's more of a natural product. With any other primer that I've tried, sometimes it clings on, sometimes it just looks gross, but this primer really does a good job of making sure that it just makes everything set nicely. Now, the completely different thing about these two is that this one by Tarte is more of a creamy consistency. It's not so thick, as opposed to this one by Makeup Forever. It's a much thicker consistency. So I'm gonna show you what I like to do to kind of like get that thickness out of the product. I'm just doing a lot of talking, but I wanna make sure I explain everything really well. So what I like to do is I like to go in with the Tarte. See, there's a lot of product. Like it's more of a runny consistency, so you have to be careful with it. People always ask me, why primer? Why do I need primer? Why can't I just wear foundation? And I like to tell them this. You always want to have a barrier between your skin and the foundation. You do not want to put foundation directly onto the skin because that causes way more breakouts. Especially if you have sensitive skin, you definitely want something that's going to just create a barrier, something that's going to make the foundation lay nicer. When I was younger, I did not wear primer. I didn't really know much about primers, so I stayed away from it. And then I would always ask myself, why isn't my foundation staying on as well as it is on some other people? And then I discovered primer and it just changed my life. Makeup for Everyone, I'm going to just take some on the back of my hand, like that much. Then, this is the mistake people usually make. Because it is a thicker consistency, you need to work well with it. And by that, I mean, you want to make sure that you don't just take the product and start putting it on your face. What I like to do so it's not so thick is I like to go in and rub it out. And then I literally just place it on my T-zone area. So you are able to use like 1 or 2 primers on your skin just to target certain areas. That's usually what primers are for. Now the Tarte one I like to use all over because it gives you a clean slate to start with. And then the Makeup Forever one, I literally just use it on the areas where I tend to get really oily. So I use it on my nose. I use it in my smile line areas because for some reason that's the area where I really get oily. So I like to do that and then just kind of pat it in. So now that I am done with that, I'm going to begin foundation. For a very long time, I've been a huge Kat Von D person. Whenever somebody asks me, what do you recommend full coverage? What do you recommend to cover up a tattoo, a scar? What do you recommend long wearing foundation? And it just comes out of my mouth. Kat Von D, Lock-It Foundation, best foundation for that ever. And I just can't get enough of it. The only downside of this foundation is that I don't have an exact shade. So what I had to do was I had to buy 2 shades because I love this foundation so much. And I mixed medium 54 with medium 57. I like to use a little bit more of medium 54 and then just put a touch of medium 57. So I put that on the back of my hand. And you honestly do not need that much for this product either, because it's so full coverage. And then once I have it there, then I go in and just mix it. You can see how thick that foundation is, man oh man. First, I like to go in with my kabuki brush, just to distribute it all over. I'm just going to dot it on this side. I personally like to dot it. Some people just like to apply it with a brush, but I feel like dotting it gives you the most product because you are putting it straight onto your face. Then you're mixing it into the areas that you want it to go. And I also feel like for targeting purposes, like there's certain areas that I like to target, like right here where I have a lot of redness, so I can just dot in that area and then disperse the rest where I may not have that many problematic issues, and it will just give me a really nice distribution. But I find that for me it works the best. So because we are using a more thicker foundation, what I like to do is I like to go with my MAC Fix Plus, spray a little bit of it onto my brush so that when I mix it, it's going to not be so thick and crazy looking, but it's gonna kind of give me more of a natural look. And then I just kind of like to push the product in so it's not just laying on top. So you can see how good of a coverage it does. So now, just to kind of take away some of that cakiness that may be on my skin, I'm going to go in with my beauty sponge and I'm going to take a little bit of MAC Fix Plus and just spray it. And then I'm going to start sponging it out. Because I went with such a full coverage foundation, I like to use more of a serum water-based consistency concealer. So I always go towards my Tarte Rainforest in the C1, and I find that this one does a really good job of just not caking up with the rest of my foundation. And then I just literally pat it back and forth. And as you can see, it is a little bit lighter than my foundation, but that's kind of what I'm going for because I always like to go in with a concealer that will brighten my under eye. And then the next step I like to do is go in with my Laura Mercier translucent powder, which is this one. And I'm going to be taking a sponge. This is the Real Techniques complexion sponge. And I'm literally just going to bake that under eye. Especially where I have those fine lines, that's where I'm going to be baking. The reason I like to do it immediately is because my little lines that I have right there will crease instantly. So I need to make sure that as soon as I lay that product down, I bake it. Now I've been more inclined to use something that's a little bit less thick as this Laura Mercier powder, and that is the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte Foundation. And this one is in the color 500 Sun Beige. I literally just like to take a brush and just apply it in the areas where I may get really oily. So like right here, and then I just kind of blend the product out so that it's not like right in the center of it. And then in my nose, because that's where I get really oily. So I've really been loving this, and I feel like it makes it look more natural, and it doesn't really dry out my skin as much as the Laura Mercier does on certain other areas of my skin. Now I'm just going to be removing the powder. And then for bronzer, because of course I don't want to look so one-dimensional, I like to look more evened out, I'm going to be using the Butter Bronzer. I feel like if you're my skin complexion, it's always good to have more of a neutral bronzer as opposed to something that's a little too orange or something that's a little too cool, because I feel like that really doesn't fit our skin. Like I feel like the one that's too cool just kind of like washes this out because our foundation color is already kind of one-dimensional, and then I feel like bronzers that are too orange just make us look so like we have a fake tan going on. And it's very long wearing. I was really surprised when I saw how long it lasted on my cheeks. Like, I didn't need to retouch it, or I didn't see any issues of it just coming off, especially because I've been wearing this type of look when I want to do a really full coverage look, just kind of to last me all through the day a lot in the summer, and I've had no problems with this whatsoever, and it's been super hot here in Maryland. I'm going to go in with my Jaclyn Hill palette, and I'm going to be taking, which color do I want to take? I think I'm just going to be taking this color right here, just because it's not a really overpowering blush. I'm going to be applying that directly where I applied my bronzer, just so that everything stays in place and doesn't really budge. And then for highlighter, I've been so excited to talk about these highlighters because they're affordable and I feel like they are really, really good. These highlighters are the Makeup Revolution highlighters. Now, you might look at them and be like, damn, those are really, really pale. But when I mix them together, they give me the perfect glow. Kind of just disperse it so that it's not just staying in that little area. And the last thing I like to do to complete my face routine is going ahead and setting it with my Ben Nye Final Seal. I do have the Urban Decay ones, but honestly, I'm so over that hype. I feel like they're just okay in my opinion. I feel like this one does work a lot better on my skin, and it may work better on your skin as well. And I would definitely suggest you guys to try this one because it just locks things in. And I like to use this one on my clients because, you know, they're the ones that are going to be going to events and stuff, and they want some long wear foundation, and then they'll text me back after their special event and tell me, wow, my foundation really lasted all day long. And I'm like, this little guy. See? Literally just go in. This is my full coverage, long wearing foundation routine. I'm not telling you that these are the best, but these are the best in my opinion and the stuff that has worked really well on me. So I really hope that if you guys do check them out, that they work just as well on you. I really hope that you guys enjoyed watching this video. And if you are new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe and join our little family of makeup and fun. So I will see you guys very, very soon for a brand new video. Bye guys.